Okay, hi everybody. My name is Barry from Sunhouse Marketing. So my expertise is in digital lead generation, and also something that I'm calling digital lead optimization, which we're going to talk about more today. So let's get started. It's not working. There we go. Okay. So let's ask a simple question. Is your marketing funnel missing the ball? So I have 3 questions for you. So number 1, are you utilizing immersive lead generation tactics? The answer to this should be yes. Do you think your job is done once you've collected a qualified lead? The answer to this should be no. And are you focusing on leads and not revenue? And the answer to this also should be no. So if you've answered any of these questions incorrectly, then you might be missing the ball in your marketing funnel. Okay, so let's talk first about interactive lead generation techniques. And in this segment, I'm really talking about email collection when you're trying to collect users at the very top of the funnel and eventually drive them down. Okay, so here's one example. Okay, this is for a skincare brand called Macari. And this is for a skincare brand called Macari, and I'm not sure why you can't see it right here, but we have for them, what we noticed is that when people got to their website, people didn't know which product to purchase. They have a whole series of skincare products, and people just didn't know which one to buy. So what we did is we created a skincare quiz, which you should be seeing here, but for some reason you're not. And what that did is it asked a series of questions about the user's skin type, about their skin concerns, and at the end of the quiz, it just kind of spit out It spit out product recommendations, very personalized product recommendations, and we collected an email address. So what did this accomplish? This accomplished 2 things. 1, we were able to provide users with exactly the product that they asked for, that they needed for their specific skin type. We increased conversions on the first visit because people knew exactly what to buy, and we had an email address to put into an email funnels for later on. Okay, here's another example of this. Here's another example of this. This is for a medical supplement from a company called Provation Life. And here, what we did is we had a series of questions in a quiz to have users determine whether or not they're suffering from a certain medical condition called PCOS. It's not really a diagnosis. We've clarified that very clearly. But just to give them a hint. And once they go through this funnel, a few things happen. A, we tell them whether or not they're likely to suffer from this condition based on the answers that they provided. And then after that, we shoot them into a course where they can learn more about this condition, and only from there do we sell the product. So instead of going straight for the hard sell, we bring them along from higher in the funnel until lower down. Okay, so now I want to talk about something, what I talked about before was really in the e-commerce realm. Now I want to talk about when you're generating leads for sales leads. So this could be small businesses like doctors, lawyers, et cetera, medical facilities. This could be software companies, anything along those lines. We're talking here about anything which is related to generating a sales qualified lead, okay? And having some technical difficulties here too. There we go. Okay, fine, cool. So this is an example that we rolled out for a client of ours that's it's a chain of weight loss clinics located in Maryland. Okay, and on our landing pages, we started using this technique. Now, you probably, when you sign up for a landing page builder like Unbounce or like Instapage or something like that, they're going to tell you they have like 50 or 100 or 500 templates you can choose from. And you've probably seen these where there's kind of like, there's text on the left, there's a hero image on the right, there's kind of like a form squeezed under on the right. But what we did is we started testing this, and this turned out to be a tremendous boon for us. We saw our conversion rate seriously increase from like 200 to even 400%, depending on the client. And really what the technique is here is you have a simple header, and you have a simple subheader underneath that. And then instead of having like a stale, static contact form, which kind of like feels like you're filling out a form to get insurance or something like that, it really feels kind of like a conversation. It doesn't have to be a conversation like in a really dynamic type form type way, but here we just ask 1 or 2 warm-up questions, and we ask on this form like how you're supposed to be able to see the video, but it's not working. Like how much weight do you want to lose? Just 1 or 2 warm-up questions, and then we get into to name, email, phone. And like instead of just having one form where it's kind of like it feels very stale, this really increases conversion rates. Okay, and here's another example that we rolled out for a crowdfunding platform. Again, you can see it's the same concept. We have, we're talking to people on the forum. It feels like, how you would describe the service as if you were talking to a real human being. Like, need funding raising ideas for your nonprofit? Contact us. It's very human. It's very normal. Have a header, have a subheader, and then have a conversational contact form underneath that. Again, we started testing this a few years ago. We saw our conversion rates really jump. In one scenario, we saw the conversion rate jump infinity%. It was at 0, and then we got to double-digit conversion rates on that. So this is definitely something that we definitely see working. Okay, so now you've generated the lead, and now let's talk about one of the biggest headaches that marketers are having now in 2022 and probably beyond. And that's when you generate leads for your clients, and it doesn't turn into any revenue for whatever reason, and we'll get into those reasons in a second. So I want to talk about the concept of optimizing speed to lead. Okay, you don't just need traffic, you don't just need leads, you need revenue. Okay, and in e-commerce, it's very simple. When you have a conversion, that's money in the bank. But in lead generation, where you're generating leads for a software, for a doctor, or whatever, just because somebody fills out a contact form on the site doesn't mean that anybody actually opened up their wallet and gave your client any money whatsoever. So you don't need traffic, you don't need leads, you need revenue, and that's really what you have to measure, and that's really what you have to optimize towards. Okay, so getting traffic is easy. Getting conversions, and what I mean by conversions here is leads and lead generation setting is difficult, but it's doable. We're all professionals here, we can do it. But getting those leads to turn into retained, paying customers is very, very difficult and very frustrating sometimes. Okay, so you might ask, marketers are really just there to generate leads. Is lead follow-up really a marketing issue? And my answer to that is, absolutely yes. In 2022, it certainly is. Post-corona, people are much more focused on the bottom line. So you can't really satisfy them with vanity metrics about like leads and cost per click and stuff like that. They want to know about the bottom line. They want to know about the dollar value. And you can better believe it that when, with a possible recession coming our way in the next year or two, it's going to become even more so this, that lead closing is definitely a marketing issue. So then you might also ask, I'm generating the leads. Is it really my fault if my client doesn't close the leads, or if my client tries to call these leads back and they just don't answer the phone? And so my answer to this is no, it is definitely not your fault, but it is your problem, and it is a problem that you have to solve. Because if your campaigns at the end of the day are not ROI positive, they're going to be seen as being not worthwhile and be turned off, and you're going to lose the project and you're going to lose the client. You have to make sure that your campaigns are ROI positive. It's not your fault, but it is your problem, and you have to solve it. Okay, so what can we do about this? All right, so let's talk about speed to lead a little bit more. There's tons of data out there about this. I'll just sum up a few things here. You're 7 times more likely to qualify a lead when you reach out within an hour. Okay? You're 100 times more likely to connect with a prospect when you make the initial contact within 5 minutes. And you're 21 times more likely to convert a lead when you respond in just 5 minutes. So if you respond within 5 minutes of somebody filling out a contact form, you're 100 times more likely to connect and 21 times more likely to convert. This obviously has major ramifications on the profitability of any ad campaign. And to this extent, there are tools out there. These are just 2 examples, Callingly and CallDrip, where you can help your clients connect to leads within 45 to 60 seconds of them filling out the lead generation form. So you're really helping your clients help themselves. Okay, so here's how this works. First, a user is going to fill out a form on your landing page. Very simple. They put in their name, they put in their phone number. Okay, now here's what's different. Without this, all that really happens is, is an email goes out. But with the tool, I'm going to say Callingly, this is the one I use most often, the sales team, and by sales team I mean whoever's fielding the calls, is going to immediately receive a phone call. When they answer the phone, it's going to say something to the effect of, press 1 to connect to John Smith from Google Ads who searched for a weight loss clinic near me. Obviously, all the things that you see highlighted here are dynamic, and there's a whole bunch of other parameters that you can pull in so that whoever's answering the phone knows exactly the context of where this lead came from. Okay? Then your sales team is going to have to take the step of pressing 1 to talk to John, and then what happens? Callingly, or other tools like it, okay, are gonna dial the number that John submitted on the contact form, okay, and then connect you two together. So the whole process takes just 45 to 60 seconds. I've tried this out myself, 45 to 60 seconds, and that's it. Okay, and this is great in a bunch of different contexts. It could be great if your leads are going into it, like a medical clinic where the secretary or whoever's responsible for the leads isn't really always plugged into their email. But if they receive a phone call, they're going to answer it. So make sure that they really follow up with leads ASAP. It's also great for for companies with remote sales teams. Where you have like 3 salespeople. They're on the road. They're just not in the office. You just want to make sure their phone rings as opposed to them checking their email half an hour later when the opportunity could be lost by them. Okay, and let's get back to a little bit of data here. According to Lead Connect, 78% of customers buy from the company that responds to their inquiry first. So I think if you're responding within 45 to 60 seconds, you're probably going to be the first one, and you have a 78% chance of of winning that sale. Okay, so again, this goes way beyond what you might think of the digital marketing agency's job is, but it's really important if you want to satisfy your clients and make your clients profitable. Okay, so now let's talk about supercharging this callback strategy with some out-of-the-box ideas. Okay, number one, Facebook lead generation ads. Now, you may have had this experience, we certainly have at Sunhouse, that Facebook lead generation ads, such as the example you see on the right here, is probably the most cost-effective way to generate large amounts of leads. However, the problem with this, which is why we don't really use it that much anymore, is that the user experience is just so easy that users don't even remember doing it. Our clients would call back these leads, and the leads would have no recollection whatsoever of filling out this form. It would be useless, it would be a waste of money, it would be a drain on everybody's time. Okay, but what if you could connect with these leads within 45 to 60 seconds? This is definitely something to test. So in other words, if somebody fills out a Facebook lead gen form, traditionally if you call them back an hour or 2 hours later, a day later, they wouldn't remember doing it. 45 seconds later, maybe they'll remember doing it. So what we recommend doing is testing this and evaluating if this provides you with superior ROI. Obviously, the cost per lead on Facebook lead generation ads is going to be substantially lower than with messenger ads or with landing page ads. And really, at the end of the day, you just have to evaluate, are you reaching these leads at a high level? Are they closing at a high level? Are they the ones who are opening up their wallets and paying your clients money? Okay? And here's another challenge. You might think, okay, so now we have these solutions, our job is done here, everything is good. But there are certain scenarios where users don't want to be called right away. And one instance of this is sometimes users are searching on Google or otherwise contacting you when they're just wasting time and they're bored at work. And in that scenario, even if you call them back in 45 seconds, 60 seconds, they're not going to answer the phone because they're sitting at their desk at work. So we really haven't solved this particular problem. So with what I discussed before. So what do we do about this? Okay, so we give them some, here's one solution. We give them some callback time options. You can see in this example we have some times of day, but we also have the ASAP option. Okay, and then what you can do, I'm not going to get into the particulars of this right now, but you can integrate Callingly with Zapier to only trigger Callingly if people select the ASAP option. In other words, if somebody chooses ASAP, your sales team phone rings because they want to talk to that person because that person wants to be contacted right now, and everything I just described is triggered. But if they didn't choose the ASAP option, then you can simply call them back at their desired time based on whatever they chose in the form. Okay, and now let's talk about upgrading your tracking and reporting. Okay, so let's talk about shifting your reporting mindset. I'm not saying to not report on these things, but they're we want to move kind of away from a focus on on things that don't really show any real value. So for example, campaign cost, traffic, cost per click, cost per conversion, none of this has any real intrinsic monetary value for your clients. It's not that important at the end of the day, okay? Even like in a lead generation setting, even a lead or a phone call doesn't have any value because no money has been transacted at all. Okay, so you want to move, you should still report on these things, but move your focus away from them and instead focus on value-centric items like these: consultations booked, retained clients and customers, revenue, profit, things along those lines. This is kind of easy to do in an e-commerce setting because if you sell a product for $50, you know it's $50 of revenue. In lead gen, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to find out from your client which of your leads closed, et cetera, what the retainer was. But you want to get that information, and you want to build your reports around the value and not the cost, because that really shows the value of what you're doing. Okay, so how can you do this? There's a few ways. This is, if you're an Excel whiz, you can pull all of your leads into a spreadsheet and create a pivot table around this. But there's also tools that we like using. An example is What Converts. This is a really well-priced tool for agencies where it tracks the leads from all of the different sources, and it puts them into a lot of predefined reports based on different parameters, like I'll show you in a second. Also, it handles call tracking. So if you're using things like call rel or call tracking metrics, this can be a one-stop shop that handles both of these. And here's an example from one of our law firm clients where we're comparing two campaigns. And we're seeing exactly what the quality of these leads are, how many of these leads are quotable, how many are pending, how many are non-quotable, et cetera, broken down on a campaign level. And I have 10 seconds left. Here is the same exact thing, same exact data broken down on a keyword level. So you can see exactly what leads are good quality, what leads are bad quality from all different sources, all different angles, keywords, campaigns, ad groups, et cetera, et cetera. I see it here. Oh, I think because time's up. They blocked me up. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, it's been a pleasure. And you can reach out to Sunhouse Marketing at sunhousemarketing.com, and you can reach me on LinkedIn. My name is Barry Buckman, and you can reach Fran Jakubowicz on LinkedIn as well. Thank you.